My name is Patricia McClellan Terrell, and I write under the pen name PM Terrell. And thank you for joining me again today. Today I want to talk about reality and when reality isn't reality at all. We often consider memories to be solid facts. They're framed within a moment of time. We remember actions and people as if we're watching a movie where the frames don't change. The scene has been filmed and canned and it's now frozen forever, like Rhett Butler standing in the doorway telling Scarlett, "I don't give a damn." But what if our memories are not accurate representations of what really happened, but they're merely our perceptions of what occurred? And that what we have carried with us are not really true moments of reality encapsulated in a moment of time, but a flawed understanding of what might have transpired. A few years ago, my doctor abruptly closed his office, and it kind of left his patients scrambling to find other medical care. And some friends referred me to another doctor in town. I showed up for my appointment wearing a royal blue blouse and khaki slacks. And I completed the paperwork, and a nursing assistant took me back to the exam room and was going over my paperwork. She noted that I had written down my vocation as an author, and she called me a liar and said that it was obvious that I was a Walmart employee, and I was even dressed in the Walmart uniform. Who knew that khaki slacks and a royal blue blouse was a Walmart uniform? She then asked me about my medical history, and I explained that I was taking Lyrica. Lyrica is a non-opiate. It's a non-psychoactive medication, which means it has no psychotic type effects, or it doesn't affect the psyche. You can't get high with it. It's also non-addictive, and it's only used for nerve damage. It has no effect whatsoever on any other kind of pain. I was taking it due to nerve damage sustained from a botched heart ablation that left nerve damage on the right side of my body. And it was carefully documented in my medical records. I had seen specialists for it, and it was all documented. Well, a few minutes later, after the nursing assistant left the room, the doctor entered, and before I could speak, he held up his hand to silence me, and he said that the only reason that he came into the exam room was to tell me that he did not want me as a patient, and that he did not prescribe any form of pain medication. And before I could respond, he left the room. Needless to say, it's the most humiliated experience I've ever had in a doctor's office. Well, if you were to speak to that nursing assistant about that day, no doubt she would relay her memory of that as a Walmart employee trying to masquerade as a writer or an author, showing up in the Walmart uniform and wanting pain medication, perhaps opiates, and how she was able to, relay that information to the doctor and avoid a situation where they had an addict as a patient. She might have relayed that information to the doctor, and without checking the classification of Lyrica and when and how it's used, he might have then jumped to the conclusion as well that I was a drug addict there to get opiates for non-existent pain, or just to get high, which is actually how they treated me. But their memories of that encounter would be flawed by their own perceptions. I've never worked at Walmart. I don't actually even shop at Walmart usually. I've had 21 books published to date, and I've never taken opiates. In fact, I don't even drink alcohol because I'm a control freak. So I'm told, and I never want to feel like I'm out of control of my own faculties. Well, in writing, we see everything through the lens of the character. You know, their telling of the story, which is called the point of view, it's impacted by their own belief systems, perhaps other things that have happened to them that have colored their perception. And their perception is often flawed. It may be impacted by their religion or other spiritual beliefs, by their cultural, societal upbringing, and even by what they want to see versus what is actually unfolding before them. An example is a comparison of books about the American Civil War. Shelby Foote was a Mississippian, born November 17th, 1916, in Greenville, Mississippi, which is in the heart of the Mississippi Delta, cotton plantation country. He wrote, among other things, The Civil War, a narrative. It's a 3-volume work, which in part led to Ken Burns filming The Civil War, which was a PBS documentary miniseries. Shelby Foote wrote from the point of view of a Southerner, a Mississippian. And at the time that he was born and grew up, he no doubt remembered the class system of the Deep South. It was the Jim Crow era. He remembered the ingrained beliefs, the cultural and societal influences, and within that framework of many that even still to this day fly the Confederate flag. Compare his work to The 20th Maine by John J. Pullen. It's about the 20th Maine Infantry Regiment, led by one of my heroes, Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain. Pullen was born in Amity, Maine in 1914, so there was only 2 years difference in age between Pullen and Foote. But in contrast to Foote's Southern prose, Pullen's work is written from the perspective of Northerners. It's framed in their commitment, what they saw as keeping the United States intact. And in some cases, their horror at seeing the slave trade unfolding in the Deep South. It was impacted further by Mainer's cultural and societal influences. Each author tells the story of numerous battles during the Civil War: Antietam, Chancellorsville, Spotsylvania, Fredericksburg, Gettysburg, which is where Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain made his stand on Little Round Top, and both culminate with Lee's surrender at Appomattox. Both authors relied heavily on letters, journals, records of men that actually fought in those battles. And no doubt at the time they were born, they would have known perhaps a few of those men who had lived into old age. Yet each tells of a completely different set of experiences. Even when the soldiers' days were the same, maybe they were on forced marches through mosquito-infested swampland, or they were just trying to survive on packed snow and ice in the middle of winter, trying to keep themselves warm against frigid temperatures and wicked winds. Yet each tells a completely different story, because each is framed within that different perspective. They're not a snapshot of memories so much as snapshots of perception and their roles within them. Whether your memories consist of moments in your childhood, work days and experiences, or relationships, it's often stunning how differently someone who was with you remembers those same experiences. Taken in this context, our memories are not actually reality with firm, immovable settings or scenes, but they're fluid. They're individual perceptions of moments in time. In psychology, subjects are often brought back to those moments, not just to relive them, to relive the pain or the trauma, but also to reframe them. Because in reframing them, they are actually rewriting their own history. I'd like for you to join the discussion about this and about other things that I post on my Facebook page, and I'll put the link below this video. But I'm interested in your perceptions and how you have come to discover, how society, culture, your environment has affected your memories. Thank you for joining me.